$600. Will that get you 1,000 yards? Hey guys, Phil here with Monstrum Tactical. Today I'm out at Dead Zero Shooting Range out here in Central Tennessee. We're going to shoot 1,000 yards with this setup. More specifically, we're going to shoot 1,000 yards for under $600. What we're working with here is a Savage Axis 2. This one is chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. I went with this gun because I was able to pick it up through Bud's Gun Shop for $350 with the cash price. Which is a cool deal they do. If you pay with cash versus credit, you get a nice little discount. For this gun, what I needed was a Picatinny rail because this one doesn't come with a rail. So I used our Monstrum pick rail. This was another $15, $16. On top of that, we have the Challenger 5-30 first focal plane in the CM4 reticle. This scope gives me a lot of stretch to be able to see and hit out to 1,000. And you're going to see if I successfully pull that off.
So starting out, I worked my zero up to 600 yards off camera. What you're seeing now is me shooting 600 yards on camera on the electronic targets.
See if I can hit this.
Nice.
Now I'm moving on to steel at 700 yards. We have to shoot on steel before we shoot on electronic. I may not have gotten any hits on steel, however, I was close enough within proximity to the steel that I knew I could get it on paper, and the paper would give me a more reliable data point to work on to work my zero back into the center.
Alright, well, we're on paper at 800, so I got 20 shots to do 1,000. Alright, so first I have to get it on steel at 1,000, and then we can shoot. Okay.
Once again, I got close enough to steel that I felt taking it to paper would allow me to walk in the 0 better than if I stayed on steel until I hit. So I moved to paper and hoped that the electronic targets would pick up the shot. So the issue I ran into at 1,000 on the paper/electronic targets is that the electronic targets only pick up rounds that cross the threshold of 1,200 feet per second of velocity. I chose 140 grain Remington core locked as the ammo that I would use for this because I wanted a 140 grain projectile. However, core locked being a soft point means that I lose a lot more velocity over distance. And unfortunately, I was not breaking 1,200 feet per second at 1,000. So as you're going to see, I had no registered hits on the electronic target at 1,000, which is why I go back to steel to get my hit.
Pretty sure that's on. We're just gonna go back and hit steel. I think I might be under velocity for these targets. Yep, that's a hit. Yep, that's a hit. Not sure where it went, but I'm out of ammo. But we hit at 1,000 on steel. I've got it on the other camera. So, having shot 1,000 with this gun, it is completely doable. If you're a good shooter with a lot of practice, and especially using the 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge, it's very easy to reach 1,000 with this gun. Especially, again, using a 5 to 30, which I only used up to 20 power to shoot it. I could have gone all the way to 30 and I would have gotten just a touch more visibility. Some simple, relatively affordable upgrades I would do to this gun to improve its shootability at 1,000. MDT makes some great chassis. You can get a $300 chassis for this gun that will make it feel leagues better than this synthetic stock. Obviously, it doubles the cost of the gun, but this is a very budget-friendly gun to begin with. You can get the Magpul MOE bipod. They're between $70 and $80 on Amazon. They are super light and they just mount right to your sling stud there. Other things I might consider changing, I would probably upgrade to a nicer Monstrum mount. We have a few. I ended up maxing out the elevation on this turret to shoot 1,000, so I would recommend getting a 20 MOA mount that will allow you to shoot further without maxing out your turrets. What I personally will likely do to this gun is I'm going to get the barrel threaded. I prefer to shoot suppressed, so I'm going to get this guy set up to shoot suppressed. So yeah, as you could see, shooting 1,000 yards for under $600 is extremely doable, and I highly recommend it. It was very fun, very cheap way to get into long range, considering a lot of long range guns are very expensive. And again, I paid $350 for the gun, $16 for the pick rail, and then another $230 for the scope. And this scope includes these mounts. So all in, we're at $595 before tax, which is pretty insane. Go build a budget long range gun and shoot 1,000 yards. Very fun.